Welcome to the Vulnerable Room. Hey, everybody, and welcome on back to episode 3 of season 3 of the Vulnerable Room podcast. I hope everyone is doing pretty good. As for myself, I'm doing well. Counting down these days until my feet touches some sand. So, first things first, I would like to give a big shout out to all of class of 2024 graduates. Special shout out to my line sister, my friend, Britt Brad. Click clack, push your wig back. And I just want to know if some of you may have like a summer bucket list, things that you're trying to accomplish this summer. I know for me, I'm trying to try new places, try new events, because how else will my husband find me? Feel me? Like if I keep going to the same places over and over, seeing the same faces, it's not going to give what it's supposed to give. Okay. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to do something solo wise if I can. As far as like maybe going to a restaurant out, going out to eat by myself, maybe going to the beach and reading a book, reading some more books this summer. Those are just a few of my things off of my summer bucket list. Yeah. I'm interested in knowing what's on yours when this episode airs. Definitely feel free to DM me and let me know or leave a comment. Speaking of comments, again, if you like this video, press that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also leave a comment because your girl talks back. Okay? Without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. Today's topic is entitled self-healing. As some of you may know, we hear that term all the time, healing, 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 and we never really talk about it in depth. We never talk about the highs and lows when it comes to healing. And I thought to bring on a very special guest because I feel like she would be perfect to talk about this ongoing healing journey that we're on, right? In the vulnerable room. So let's talk. Let's tea. So my special guest, her name is Aisha Gibson, and she's a licensed therapist, author, and clinical consultant. Dr. Aisha Gibson, doctor, put some respect on her name, is a licensed professional counselor, board approved supervisor, nationally certified counselor, and is certified in trauma informed leadership. Her expertise spans across various sectors, including hospitals, nonprofit organizations, educational institutions, and community agencies. She's a clinical consultant, assisting clinical professionals and organizations in building equitable systems and effective processes, improving care practices, and prioritizing workplace wellness within organizational infrastructures. You better go ahead, girl. She is the author of 2 wellness journals, Boundaries Are Self-Care. Isn't that what we talking about? And Free Yourself from Emotional Immature Parents. And a wellness blog entitled Prioritized on Purpose that focuses on helping millennials and women heal the relationship with themselves and unapologetically being first in their own lives. Ladies and gentlemen, I now introduce to you Miss Aisha. How you doing?
I am fine. How are you?
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to have you on. Some of you may not know this is the face of She Speaks Therapy. I'm so happy
Hi.
to have you in the vulnerable room.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Thank you. So let's talk about self healing because this is a topic that a lot of us will express, like, oh, I'm healing, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but we do not talk about it, I feel like, in depth as a community. And who would be, better to have to join in on this topic. So again, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, first question. What is your definition of self-healing?
My definition of self healing is healing that is motivated by us, that is wanted by us, that um, healing that is for us, by us, in the way that is most beneficial for us.
Hmm.
So, a lot of times, people kind of like social media, or even people that we know, family, friends, whomever, they may give us some kind of word or instinct or direction of what they believe healing should look like, or what healing should
Okay.
be, or how you should look after you've healed from something. And for me, self healing is really just like, is really looking at, what do I need to heal from, and how does healing look for me, and what is comfortable for me, or not even comfortable, because sometimes healing is not a comfortable thing to do.
Exactly.
What is within my capacity? What does my own individual healing look like? Our healing journey isn't going to look like everybody else's healing journey. And so self healing for
That's the
me is
one.
very much what is for us, um, and the capacity in which we can do it. And then looking at how do we want to be on the other side of what we're trying to heal from.
Thank you for sharing that. And I love the fact that you said everyone's healing journey looks different
Mm-hmm.
because I have been guilty of this in the past where, like, in my younger days, where I would say something like, oh, it didn't take me that long to get over so and so with this breakup. So it shouldn't take you that long. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's like, girl, stand up.
Yeah. Stand
Basically,
up.
in short. So I had to learn as I got older that everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's timeline is different. Everyone's inner strength is different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, thank you for dropping that gem because
Welcome.
that was like a full circle moment.
Uh, One thing I had to learn is that healing also looks different for us depending on where we are in our lives or what season that we're
Mm,
in. So, kind of, I use the example you give, like maybe like a breakup or something like that. Depending on what season we are in our life, our healing may look very different than what we're accustomed to, what we're used to. So, back in my younger days, I may have been able to bounce back. But, I'm older now, I'm wiser now, I got a lot more invested now. So that healing is going to look a lot different than what I did maybe when I was in a different season.
absolutely. And how do you activate self healing?
For me, I feel like whenever we get to this place where we sick and tired of being sick and tired, we have a
Tired.
capacity, and we will deal with whatever we're dealing with for as long as we can deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we reach that capacity to where it's no longer working for us, to where it is outside of our realm of being able to really cope with or manage, then I feel like when we get to that point, then that's kind of like where the self healing or the healing journey kind of activates, or we become curious as to how we get over this. And oftentimes, I see like a lot of people even say, like on social media or just in general, like, you ain't tired yet.
Yeah.
I got that from, not got that from, but one of the things was like Insecure.
Okay.
Issa told Molly, like, you ain't tired yet because I'm tired for you. And I was
Going
like,
through the same
oh,
things over and over. Yes.
over and over again. But I mean, we're all different and our capacities are different. And people will deal with things until they get tired. And I feel like once we get tired, then that's when like we get to the point where we're like, okay, I got to do something different. Or we even get to the point where we want to do something different, because just because we may know that we need to do something different, we may not always have the desire to do it. or the capacity to do it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So when the desire, the need, and the capacity all meet up at one time, then the self healing journey just activates on its own.
I love that. I think I definitely think that you have to kind of hit rock bottom to say, to activate your self healing.
Yeah.
And from a personal standpoint, which I did share, like in my very first episode when I started to do this podcast, I was going through it and I was just tired of feeling the same way, just with different people. So
Mm-hmm.
they always say that, to if you expect different results by doing the same thing, that's insanity. And long and behold, it was driving me insane. Like, continuously experiencing the same cycle. So I
Yeah.
realized I had to do things differently. That's where I learned about setting boundaries, holding myself to a certain standard, and having non negotiables and things of that nature. So I think that you definitely have to have a light bulb moment with yourself to realize, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So, what are some ways you can heal yourself? Some resources that you have probably used in the past.
Okay, so I think one of the hugest steps to get towards self healing or to even start self healing for me is to really do like a mirror activity and really look in the mirror and really be honest with myself and noticing and knowing and accepting and realizing that I have been my own problem in a lot of those situations.
Mm,
And I think is really looking at the situation, like specifically, like what is this situation that I am trying to heal from, um, and looking at what ways that I let myself down in this situation, because there are a lot of times that, not a lot of times, oftentimes we can only do what we know, and we can't do better until we know better.
mm,
And in those situations, we give a lot of ourselves and we give more of ourselves, sometimes more than we actually want to. Or we give pieces of ourselves. Sometimes it's really hard to like get back and piece together. So it's really looking at how did I let myself down in these situations and how can I do better? How can I
yeah,
treat myself better going forward? Um, a lot of things, a lot of the conversations is talking about boundaries. So it's looking at that and looking at boundaries and just being like, what do boundaries look like for me? Who do I need to set boundaries with? Um, how can I set boundaries within my own capacity? Because even boundaries look different in different environments. They look different with different people. Um, they look different in different seasons. And so it's looking at how do I want to set boundaries, um, and being okay with experimenting when we are, developing a new version of ourselves, which is a version of ourselves that is healing from the stuff that we tolerated.
mm-hmm,
That takes some adjusting and getting used to. And a lot of times we talk about giving ourselves grace, and giving ourselves grace really looks like, I'm going to make mistakes and that's okay. I'm not going to get it right.
yeah, we're not perfect.
We're not perfect and that's okay. I'm not going to be healed tomorrow and that's okay. I'm probably going to have to heal from this more than once
Ooh,
and that is
repeat. Can you
okay
repeat
too.
that again?
Yes. I am probably going to have to heal from this more than once, and
Mm,
that is okay too. I think oftentimes when we get fed up and tired and we want to heal, we expect that okay, I've done all this work, I should be healed from it. But a lot of times we heal away from the situation, not in the situation. So then when we re-encounter the situation, those feelings are going to come up.
exactly. And there's been times where I would hear people say, like, you know, I think I'm healed from it, right? I'm healed from whatever the hurt or harm was that caused you to feel, to start this healing journey. And then when it kind of resurfaces again, you get triggered.
Yep.
And people don't realize that certain, when triggers do transpire, It doesn't mean that you're not healed. It just means that your body is reacting to that trauma.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean, like I said, that doesn't mean that you're not healed. But again, I stress to people to like take their time.
Yep.
Just because you feel like you haven't, you didn't have to deal with that problem for maybe 3 months, that does not mean you're healed.
Right. And it's literally pacing yourself and your healing. And for me, I had to do my own work and really redefining what my relationship with healing looked like, because I thought that healing was being like unbothered by a situation, or just not having like any emotional reaction to the
Yeah.
situation or to the person. And for me, healing looks like my recovery time is much quicker. So I'm not ruminating on it for days. I'm not being down on myself for being like affected by it. I can sit in that discomfort and be like, you know what? Like I'm human. Like it's okay. Like that was literally a traumatic experience that I went through. Unfortunately, my body just does not want to not keep score.
Right.
I wish it wouldn't, but my body, and I even say that, like I tell that to my friends if I'm with them. I'm like, my body is keeping score right now, so I'm just going to work through this. But my recovery time is quick. My body can keep score, and I can bounce back. Whereas, when we first starting off healing, like it may take days for us to recover, and that's okay. But it's literally like pacing yourself and knowing that it could be years later and we see that person or hear that sound or smell something or
Something.
something, and our body is going to react to it. And it's like not pushing it away, because I feel like oftentimes we feel like we need to push it away because in our minds, me being healed means me not being affected by it. So let me push it away. And it can really be like self-healing is like, yo, like I need to provide space for myself right now, because
Yeah.
I'm being, and sometimes we may not even know what it is in that moment, but it's like, oh, maybe I need to go to the bathroom for a few minutes, maybe I need to go sit in my car for a few minutes, maybe I just need to go walk this
Just
off.
have a moment.
I just need a moment.
Yeah.
My body is remembering something right now. I can't put my hands on it in this moment. I'll think about it later. But self healing is like, let me take some time to take care of me in this very moment. And then I can come back and I can process like what happened later.
Absolutely. I definitely think that, to go back to what you said about the mirror, like having a talk with yourself in a mirror,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. When I don't know if you ever used to watch the show called Being Mary Jane,
Girl,
and oh,
don't get me
oh,
started. Don't get me started.
girl, I feel like every black woman, and in your 30s, 40s, etc., you need to watch it, because when that show first aired, I was like in my kind of like in my upper 20s. I think I was like 25, 26. And when she used to put things on post-its
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and put it on her mirror, I didn't understand it. I just thought like, okay, this is a part of the show. Like, this is for
Mm-hmm.
the aesthetics. This is her thing. When you see post-its on the mirror, that's being Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm older and have practiced, putting self affirmations on the mirror, when I was going through, my depressional season, it helps a great deal.
It does.
It
It
helps a
so
great
does.
deal. You say it, you see it, you start to become it, you start to
Hello.
walk in it. And yeah, I really just thought about being Mary Jane once you just said that. And
Yes.
now that I'm in my 30s, I get sis.
Okay. Listen, I could not wait to step into my being. Now, I was about to say, don't get me, that could be a whole nother episode, because being Mary Jane, I love Mary Jane. I love Mary Jane. But Mary Jane was chaotic.
Very chaotic.
She was chaotic, but Mary Jane, I feel like that was such a real depiction of what it's like to be a woman and growing and evolving and wanting to do better, but not trying to do better, but still dipping your toe to see if you can go back to that same situation, a different person, and get a different result. And it
And
didn't
like
happen.
have all these different like strings attached to all these
Yes.
different people, whether if it's family and her dating life. I was just like, I love this character.
Yeah.
Some of the things she was doing, I didn't understand, but I get it now.
I get it now. I love me some Mary Jane.
I get it now. Judgment free zone. Okay.
Okay.
Can you work on or towards healing as an adult without healing your inner child?
I feel like it depends on what you're trying to heal from.
Okay.
And I feel like with our inner child, healing our inner child, I literally just, I think it's couples therapy on Showtime. I think it's on Showtime. But she was talking about how our past, which is, our formative years with our growing up in our households or with our caregivers, healing that, without healing that, the past hijacks our present. So oftentimes when we get into relational dynamics, whether it's professional, personal, friendships, a lot of times those arguments are us responding to our caregivers
Okay.
because these individuals are showing us behaviors, are saying things that's activating our inner child. And what our
Mm.
inner child couldn't say or do as a child, now we're doing that as an adult.
Okay.
And so I do feel like healing as an adult and healing as an inner child kind of goes hand in hand, because it's just like sometimes I have to take a step back and I'm like who's responding in this moment? Um, I believe the show is Unprisoned on, I think it's Unprisoned, Unprisoned on Hulu. It's Kerry Washington's new show. And she's doing, I believe her main character is a therapist and is with her inner child. And I think at the end of season one of like my favorite parts is she tells her inner child, like, you can rest now, I got it.
Oh.
And it was like, because the whole time, like when things happen, oh, the inner child, her inner child, and it's like a little girl, she was going off. She was like, you tell them this, you tell them that. I hope you're not going to accept that. Like, literally, the inner child was literally running her as the adult. And when she started doing her work and healing, she told her, like, you can go rest now. Like, I got it. And
I may
so
have to start watching that.
it was so good. And so I've literally taken that into like my own life, because oftentimes like our inner child is going to always be there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's literally looking at like literally use that and tell it to myself sometimes. Like if I can feel my inner child like really activated, I'm like, you know what, I'm an adult now, I'm safe, like we're safe, we're okay, I got it. I got it. Like, you're not in harm's way. I'm Big Bad now. So so we can definitely protect us. Like the inner child who felt unprotected, I feel like my evolved or self that is still healing or healed from certain things, I have to remind her, like, I got this. You can rest, you are protected, you are safe. But then sometimes I'm human, and sometimes that inner child is just running around.
It's surfacing.
It's
It surfaces in
surfacing.
different situations, different
Oh, it
scenarios. Yep.
really does. Different situations, scenario, and I'm just like, okay, like, and like you said, like the mirror. Like I really have to give myself a mirror and just be like, who was present in that moment? Like, was it my inner child or was it me?
Hmm.
Who was really present then and there? And even that takes some work and being okay with that, because I used to feel like embarrassed, or I used to so much
Mm-hmm.
shame and embarrassment when that inner child would just, because my inner child, she shuts down.
Mm.
The minute she feels unsafe, she shuts down. She doesn't talk. She just retreats, and she's very people pleasing. And I don't want to do that anymore. And so when I feel that coming on, or when I experience that, I used to just experience so much shame. I was like, now I'm embarrassed because I'm an adult. And
Aw.
I'm not doing these
No.
things. And so now I literally had to work through that. I was my therapist, of course, helped me work through that, but I had to do my own work through that, and even talking to myself in that moment and just being like, okay, I know you feel unsafe, but we are fine, and I can handle this. Like, I can handle this. And plus, because we are an adult, if it gets too unsafe, we can leave.
We can leave.
We can leave.
We can
I'm grown.
leave. Bye.
Bye. I'm grown. We would deal with it tomorrow. But in this moment, if it gets to the fact where we are outside of our capacity, I can leave.
I think I like that you mentioned that example. As far as like, who's in that moment, your inner child or is it you, the adult you? So I just think that yeah, like you have to be aware, especially if you're not fully like you didn't get that closure from your inner child
Mm-hmm.
trauma. I think that you have to sometimes be aware of like, how you may come across, but it's easier said than done because again, your body reacts
Yes.
to certain things.
Yes, and I had to learn how to give myself grace in those moments. And so when my body does react, or when my inner child is present and she is just doing her thing, like I said earlier, she shuts down. And I had to really work through like not being embarrassed and just telling myself like, hey, like you did what you felt like you needed to do to feel safe in that moment,
Absolutely.
and that's okay. That's okay. Um, we can be aware of this and try to push through and do better next time. But I literally have to tell my inner child, like, you did what you, like, my inner child and my adult self have to, like, come to an agreement.
Come
Like,
here.
it is okay because my adult self wants to shame my inner child for doing that. And I'm like, no, we can't.
Right.
We cannot. We felt triggered in that moment,
And that's
and
okay.
that's okay, and we did what we needed to do to feel safe. Now going forward, now that we know this, or we're aware that this is our trigger, we can work on having a different response.
Right. I
Excuse me.
thank you for dropping that, Jim. Thank you for sharing that. What are some things you had to heal from?
Whew, okay. I think one thing, and I can speak to like, because I was talking about this recently. I had to heal from being betrayed by friends,
Ooh.
and I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, I've had some relationships that didn't go well, and or betrayal happened in those relationships, and I have been whatever, it is what it is. But I still feel like I'm healing from that betrayal that happened in those very close friendships.
Wow. We
Because
here.
yeah,
Yes.
because it comes up sometimes, and that let me know that I am still healing from it. And what activated it for me was that when I finally said like, yo, like it's been, what are we at, like almost 10 years, and I was always operating, oh, I'm over it, we're fine, it's great, like, I'm a healed girl, like I'm so unbothered by it. And I think a recent friend situation really made me reflect on that, and I was just like, yo, like I don't think I fully sat down and really looked at how that betrayal like impacted me, and how it impacted me going into friendships with other people, or
Mm.
people trying to be my friends.
Yeah.
Um, Even with those individuals, I feel like I have not been as authentic as I should have been. I shouldn't say should, because should leads to shame. But I haven't been as authentic as I could have been in my interactions with them, because it was a whole mask, because I didn't want to give off that I still felt some type of way about how they betrayed me. But because of that, years later, I'm now still seeing like, nah, like I don't think I like you. You know? And I'm coming to the fact that that is okay. Like, I thought that healed was I was supposed to get over it, be unbothered, and still be able to be cordial and speak to them, and, be like, growth. I thought growth was just being like, yeah, girl, that happened when back then, and we're fine now. But me as an adult, I'm just like, you know what? Like, that was well. You cursing your podcast? No,
No, you good?
I said, girl, look, I was about to go in. But I was like, nah, that was foul as hell what happened. And I feel like I'm older now. I'm an adult and I can recognize how foul that was. I can give you grace for where you were in your life then that caused you to do that. But no, I don't feel like I wanna do this.
Absolutely.
This
And
mess
I
again.
like that you mentioned betrayal because I literally had this conversation the other day. And I feel like I do agree with you. Like, you can have a breakup with a guy. And that relationship is just like you're still hurt, but then you just move on. But that friendship breakup to me hurts more. And when it's betrayal sprinkled on top of that, it's like, it's like a double whammy.
Right.
And I've dealt with that with friend betrayal, whereas I thought, like, this person was my friend. And then for her to, like, to just stab me in the back over a guy, like, it was just like, wow, you
Right.
know? But I just, in those scenarios, when I reflect, I just thank God, like, He showed me that this person doesn't deserve to be in my life anymore.
Yeah.
But, in the past, I was just hurt. I just couldn't believe it. I was sliding down the wall like Summer Walker. See,
Okay.
okay, hurt,
Girl, broke.
hurt, butt hurt.
Broke down. I was hurt.
But now it's just like, I'm more like cognizant of
Mm-hmm.
certain signs, because I feel like there was signs were her in the beginning of our
Yeah.
friendship, but I overlooked it. But I feel like now, because I don't believe in a whole no new friend thing, because you may meet some people in different walks of life, but if I meet somebody, excuse me, I just take my time
Mm-hmm.
getting to know them. Like, I may seem friendly, but just know that guard is up,
Yeah.
my guard is up. But I feel like also too everybody has a different way of showing their guard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some people may just come off mean. I'm friendly, so I will smile, I'll chat. But it's certain things I'm like, yeah, no, we ain't talking about that. I don't know you like that, girl. Please.
I don't. I'd rather not. I'd rather not.
I'd rather not. So, I feel like most women, even men, probably have dealt with betrayal,
Mm-hmm.
and they could probably say the same thing. Like, they feel like, breaking up with a girl is, it hurts,
Yeah.
but that betrayal or breaking up with your friend, like, you're used to be road dog, and then you look back on
Mm-hmm.
pictures and you just like, damn, like, we used
Right.
to be rolling deep. Like, this is
Don't be
crazy.
like, and
Yeah.
people need to love to remind you of the memories. I'm like, but why? We
Yeah.
didn't. We didn't have to go through that today.
I know. Facebook be like, oh, 10 years ago, you was running the yards with this person. And it's like,
But
I didn't
why
need to know
though?
that.
I didn't. I didn't need to be reminded of that.
So, have you ever had to heal from something or someone without receiving closure?
Yes. Yes, there. So I think a good example of that would be there. I was in one of my former relationships. I found out now I was healing from what occurred within the relationship,
Okay.
but it was after we had. It was after we ended the relationship. We were in off doing our things. We're not keeping in contact. People started telling me things that they knew that occurred within a relationship. And
Child.
I don't know what was it about this time, that season where people just and it was wild because it was like everybody knew but me. And it all came out in that particular time frame. It was more than one individual that was saying like, yeah, like he did this or yeah, like he did that or he was I was just like and nobody nobody told me. I
Nobody
had
told me I had
no
you walking around
clue.
looking crazy.
Crazy. I did not know. And so I really had to work through that because a part of me wanted to call him and cuss him out like a dog.
I heard your
Like,
accent just now.
hello? Like, are you kidding me? Like, one part of me wants to do that, and another part of me is just like, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's really nothing that he could offer. Like, an apology is not going to fix how humiliated I'm feeling years later. All the emotions that I was feeling in that moment. And so to this day, he still doesn't know that I know all of that information. And so because he doesn't know, he could never offer an apology.
Hmm.
And I really had to work through that. I was just like, I'm just done at this point. Like, because through the years, people check in or whatever. Are you crossing
Right.
paths? And it was like, I have nothing to say. I really have nothing to
Like you
say.
was just disgusted and over it.
Very
Yeah.
much. And I was just like, you know what? And I'm so disgusted to the point was like, I need to, like, I've done good work. Now I clearly need to do more work because, like, and I had to really sit with that. Like, there's nothing a conversation or apology can do for me in this moment.
Mm-mm. Because it's just
Nothing.
at that point, it's just words, you know.
It doesn't mean
And
anything to me.
I have to piggyback on this because you know, my last breakup, my last relationship actually, when we broke up, we had that season, and I feel like every couple goes through this where you would break up and y'all in that gray area where y'all
Mm-hmm.
still talking to each other, but y'all are trying to figure it out, right?
Yes.
And maybe somebody has more hope than the other person, hoping that things will work out. You guys get back together and pick up where you left off. So I say that to say, and this is when I was like 29, about to enter my 30s. We try to, like, make it work. And here I am doing the work. Spending time with him, going out on dates, talking every day like nothing ever happened. And then my roommate at the time had to tell me, I saw so and so on Bumble.
Mm.
I said, no, you didn't. So she was like, yes, I did. And she, like, she showed it to me. And I was fuming.
Yep.
Like, when I tell you fuming, like, all I saw at that moment was red. And I just wanted to light his behind up, curse him out,
Mm.
like, say everything, that I was feeling on my chest, get it off my chest or whatever. And something came over me. And I literally was like, you know what? Because it was around the time of December, going, like I said, going into the new year. I said, you know what? I'm not even going to waste my time, my energy. I'm going to just leave it alone.
Yep.
I'm going to let him figure it out. So that very next day, he decides, like, he doesn't know that I know, but he
Mm-hmm.
decides he wants to hit me up talking about, oh, good morning. How you doing? I left that thing right on red. And then,
I love a red. I love that.
and then he just kept like messaging me, but I just kept leaving it on red. And when we went into 2022, 2020, was it 20? No, 2021, excuse me. I was like, I entered the year and I was like, you know what? I'm making a New Year's resolution. I'm not moving backwards. I'm moving forward.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, he's just going to have to figure it out.
Okay.
I'm not going to have no closure. It's going to eat me up on the inside and it's okay. But at the end of the day, I have my dignity, I have my pride, and he's going to be the one looking dumb now, not
Yep.
me. Because you're going to be talking to yourself.
That
So
part.
I feel like if there's any woman out there that has been in my shoes or in Asia's shoes, like, stand up.
Okay.
Stand up. You don't need no closure. Girl, please. The only closure you may need is that wig. You don't need no
Okay.
closure. Because
Did I?
sometimes the closure, I would say, if both parties are mature
Yep.
and they sincerely, like, mean what they're saying, I'm all for the closure. But if we're going to if we're going to come together just to waste each other's time, don't do it.
No, don't do it.
Men do it too. If you are in this position, men talking to you too, stand up.
Please,
Stand up. We
please.
don't need the closures. Sometimes it's okay to just move along and
Right.
deal with that in either therapy, pray to God, try to do things to get your mind off of it, and take your time to heal, grieve,
Yes.
because you're actually grieving the loss of, the relationship, which
Yes.
people don't talk about. But that's another episode for another day. But,
Hello.
mm,
That part.
because when you grieve that person,
Yes.
it hits you. Like you said, certain things will remind you of that person. You smell cologne that somebody
Yep.
may wear in passing. You're like, oh my God, he used to wear that. It's just like,
It hits you. It is like you're grieving the relationship. You're grieving the person that
yes,
you thought you knew. You're grieving the future that we plan out these futures in our head. So now I'm grieving that. I'm grieving who I thought that you could be or who I thought that we could
absolutely.
be. That's some heavy grief
Yeah,
that we got to like literally navigate through. And so there's literally, and that's what I had to like look at, like what can an apology do for me?
nothing.
Like, like is an apology going to take away? Because, and then I think oftentimes we go back for closure because we want to understand why a person did something. And I really had to realize, like, I am not responsible for another person's actions. Even if
Okay,
I was 1010% off the chain, I am not responsible for your actions. You could have remained a faithful, decent, committed human being, even if you were upset with me. Because oftentimes women do.
hmm.
We will be pissed off to the highest degree of positivity and still remain committed and faithful.
And faithful. That's the part that behooves me, because
Yes,
I even caught myself doing that in my last relationship. Like, it's me that has the opportunity to be mad. I'm the person that's mad. Why am I over here trying to get us to talk?
right.
Why am I being the bigger person? Like, I don't get it. But he's over here going days without talking to me, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissed off and I'm over here trying to get us to talk. Make it make sense. So again,
It makes sense.
sometimes a sorry is not even going to do anything. That closure may not, it ain't even worth
It's
it.
not. It's not. It's really not.
So, my next question to you: how can you support a friend that is on a journey of healing?
That's a really great question. I believe the best way to support someone on their healing journey is to literally provide space for them to be so many different people along this healing journey. Because they're going to be the person that is angry. They're going to be sad. They're going to be revengeful. They're
Mm,
going to want to go back. They're going to be regretful. They're going to be, they're going to be all of these different people. And it's just like, and you have space to be all those different people. As long as you have an idea of where we want to land, that healing journey is not a linear experience. You're
no.
going to be you're going to be great some days, and then literally the next day it's going to be something, and you may be depressed. It literally may shoot down. It's just like, I don't want to talk to nobody. We may be very social and just be like, oh, I want to go out this weekend. I want to hang with my friends. And then the next thing you know, it's like, I don't want to talk to nobody.
That
I don't
burst
want
of
to talk to
energy, I
nobody.
feel like it just comes and goes during the
It
grief process.
does. It does. And it literally is just like, I'm going to support you wherever you are in your journey. Like, where are we? But as long as there's clarity, like, let's have the conversation of where do you see yourself on the other side of this?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes the healing journey, it is, like you said, like, it's not easy. And sometimes people like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to what I know and go back to what I was doing because it was not this, like, it got on my nerves. It was painful, but it wasn't this hellified.
Yeah. And sometimes you could also ask, like, ask your friend in a moment of them, during the process of them grieving or, going through their healing process. Like, when they're venting, like, okay, what do you need in this moment?
Yeah,
Because sometimes they just
absolutely.
want to just vent. They don't need to hear, like, they don't want to hear, like, you giving them your opinion. They just
Mm-mm.
want to just vent. And I always ask that question because sometimes I would find myself involuntarily giving advice. And
Yeah.
it's like, Darnique, I don't need that in this moment. I just need you to listen.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen.
Okay. Or we get upset when they don't take our advice because why are you
Yeah.
doing this?
Like I
And
just
you're
dropped
right.
all these gems and you didn't even pick it up.
You took none of
Girl.
them. You took none. Okay. But you're absolutely right. It's like, do you want advice or do you just want to vent?
Yeah. So I always have to ask that. I feel like it's super helpful. And it also allows you to like read the
Yeah.
room a bit. Because if that person is just, they just want to let it all out,
Mhm.
just be there to listen.
Yeah.
Tell them that it's going to be okay. You're going to get through this. But now, if you really want to, if you want my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to read the room as well and see, okay, I don't know if she can handle the tough love right now. So I'm
Mm.
just going to have to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it and just be like, okay, girl, like, it's going to be okay, sis. It's all
Right.
right. We've all been there. I've been there. Give them maybe your input as far as like how you got through, your situation.
Yeah.
Like sometimes hearing that they're not alone
Yes.
helps. If you can drop a gem right now to help someone who is struggling with healing from trauma, what would it be?
If I could drop a gem, I would say take time with yourself. Take all the time you need and do not rush it. Um, Healing is a journey. We're not going to be healed tomorrow. And I know that a lot of times the pain that we're sitting in is so much that we're looking for some immediate relief. Like, I want to be healed from this tomorrow. I've been dealing with this for far too long than what I would have liked. But it's literally like I am currently learning to be really gentle with myself. I
Mm,
don't feel like the world was gentle. Well, the world are not gentle. The world isn't gentle in general. And the world, I don't feel like are filled with gentle people. And
no.
sometimes we're not raised with gentle people. So we don't even know. And sometimes people feel like gentle, like because we are raised to like, be strong and go get
Right.
them and all this other kind of good stuff. And it's literally being gentle with yourself. It is okay. Like, you know what? I listened to I think Dr. Anita Phillips. I think that's her name, and she was talking about a part of her healing is grieving in real time, and a lot of it is pushing. A lot of what we're like taught or told, or what we learned, is to push it to later. And that's what she was saying. She was like, "We're just saving it for later. It doesn't make it go away. It just saves it for later." So she was like, if I feel it, I'll take a step away and just be like, I need a moment. And I'll
Hmm.
go cry if I need to. If I need to go take a walk and just move whatever it is out of my body, it's literally just saying, my body is keeping score right now. Like, I have to do something. And it's being gentle with yourself and taking care of yourself in real time and not putting yourself off for later. Like, you know what? My body is telling me that it needs me right now.
Hmm.
And so I'm going to listen to my body and take care of my body in the way that it needs. Because when I do that, I'm going to come back a better person. My recovery time is quicker. But when we don't take care of ourselves in real time, then we are trying to recover all day. Literally, like, I need to hold it together. I need to keep it together. Like, I'm going to stay away from such and such. I'm going to stay to myself. I'm not, we're trying to do all of these other methods instead of just being like, you know what? If I need 15 minutes, I'm going to cry for 15 minutes.
Absolutely. I love a good cry.
Hello. I'm going to cry for 15 minutes and then I'm going to get myself together and I can come back. But what's going to happen is if I don't take that 15 minutes and if I try to do it for later, not only I'm going to cry later, I'm probably going to scream at somebody. I'm probably going to not answer a phone call. I'm probably going to be distant from this person. I'm probably going to be reeling on this for the rest of the week. It's not worth it.
It's definitely not worth
I
it.
got stuff to do.
Saving it for later.
I can't. I
Saving it for
can't.
later. I definitely thinks that I think that it takes a toll on your mental health because it's in
It
the back of your
does.
mind.
The whole time. It doesn't leave you.
No.
It doesn't leave you. So it's just like I'm not. I have things to do, and I have to remind myself like I like to feel good. I like to, I like to feel light. I don't always want to feel heavy. And
Absolutely. Oh
if I
God.
save it for later, that is literally adding on to heaviness that I don't want. And then it's going to add on heaviness on top of heaviness on top of heaviness. Now it's the end of the week, and I'm trying to crawl myself out of all of this heaviness that if I would have taken 15 minutes earlier this week to literally just be like, and not try to figure it out in the moment. I don't have to figure it out in this moment. I just have to let my body heal or release whatever it needs to release right now.
Absolutely.
And we can figure it out later. But right now, I'm going to just do what my body needs, take care of myself, and go back to my day.
Thank you for dropping that gem. I truly appreciate it. Is there anything before we wrap up? Is there anything that you want to tell the listeners as far, as going on this self-healing journey? Anything else that you may want to add?
Um, yeah, I would just continue to say to take time for yourself, to pace yourself. I know a lot of talk about is like giving yourself grace, but it's really peeling back about what does giving yourself grace looks like, or what did you need that you didn't receive that you can give yourself right now.
Mm.
And really just being like, I maybe didn't receive the comfort or the space or the love that I wanted, but I can give that to myself right now. And it still feels good and it's still worthy and it's still mine.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for coming into the vulnerable room. Can you please tell the listeners where they can find you? You drop your
Yes.
handles.
So I'm on, how about say Facebook? I am on Instagram as She Speaks Therapy. I am on Substack, which is a blogging / newsletter platform. She Speaks Therapy on there as well. I'm trying to step into like this little TikTok era.
Do it, girl.
We're gonna see.
Do
She
it.
Speaks Therapy on TikTok too, but I don't really be posting on TikTok. But if you want to like step into my journey as like I become a TikToker, then you can follow me on there.
They show so much love on TikTok versus Instagram. I feel like it's so easy. It's so easy and quick to try to build yourself up on TikTok.
Yeah.
And based off of, people's like algorithm, your content will drop on their doorstep some way, somehow, show up in their feed. So come on over to TikTok, girl. But thank you so much. Really appreciate this. This made my night.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I am truly excited. Thank you for having me and thank you for reaching out to me and having this conversation. This was great.
No problem at all. It's so cool now to like match. Like we see your face on your page, but it's so cool now to like match the voice
Yeah.
behind the self healing quotes, the affirmation quotes. We sometimes we get to see your face like today, like with your post today, but like now y'all could see her for real, for real.
Yay.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Come on, y'all. We know these combos ain't for the faint. Thank you for listening to the Vulnerable Room podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, head on over to Anchor or Spotify to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow at The Vulnerable Room on Instagram or visit thevulnerableroom.com for the latest tea. See you next time. Love you all and have a great week.